Using fractions to find the percent of a number. So if we wanted to write an expression that shows us how to find 20% of 92, we would start off by changing 20% into a fraction. 20% always means out of 100. So we have the numerator 20 and the denominator 100. So that would be the fraction that represents 20%. But of course, that can be simplified. And you're always going to use your fraction in simplest form. So how do we simplify 20 over 100? They're both divisible by 20. So when I divide 20 by 20 in the numerator, I get 1. And when I divide 100 by 20 in the denominator, I get 5. So now we have 1/5 of 92. So we would multiply 1/5 times 92. So 1/5 times 92 is the expression that would give me the answer. If I wanted to go ahead and find out what 20% of 92 is, I would multiply. To multiply a fraction times a whole number, put your whole number over 1, and then multiply straight across. Another example here, find 45% of 75. And there's two ways to do this. We can go about this the same way we did with the first problem, where we changed 45% to a fraction by putting 45 over 100 and simplifying and then multiplying by 75. And that is one option. That's always an option that will give you an answer. But another way that this instructional video discussed was breaking your 45% into manageable groups that really you could do some mental math here. So if we say 45% and 5 divides evenly into 45, and 5% is easy to come up with. So we have 9 groups of 5%. Well, 5% is what fraction? So again, we would take 5 and put it over 100, and we would simplify that. If we divide the top and the bottom by 5, we get 1 over 20. So 5% is equal to 5 over 100, which is 1/20. So we would take what is 5% of 75, so multiply 1 over 20 times 75 over 1. We get 75 divided by 20, which is 3.75. So one group of 5% of 75 is 3.75, but 45% represents 9 groups of 5%. So take that 3.75 and multiply it by 9, and you would get 45% of 75. So just remember that a percent is always out of 100. So when you're finding the percent of a number, of means multiply, take your percent and put that value over 100 and simplify. If you have a larger percentage, like 45%, you could simplify that into groups of a smaller amount. Or if you had something like 60%, that's divisible by 10. So you could do 6 groups of 10%, first finding 10% of the number and then multiplying it by 6.